Hello and welcome to the channel. I recently had a request in the comments section to review my Hamilton Jazzmaster. I published the unboxing video in August last year, so I've owned the watch for 5 months. However, I'm ashamed to admit that it hasn't had very much wrist time during that period. Obviously that's a waste of a good timepiece and something I needed to put right. So I've been wearing it non-stop for 2 weeks now, and I'm familiar enough with it to give it a full review. Let's get the wrist check out the way first. Today, I'm wearing my Zin 556. It's always a pleasure to wear this watch, which, despite being a more expensive piece than the Hamilton, actually uses the same movement. Anyway, moving on to the review. So, let's start with the Hammy's dimensions, shall we? We have a width of 40 millimeters. We have a thickness of 11 millimeters. We have a lug-to-lug of 49 millimeters. And we have a lug width of 20 millimeters. Now, the first thing to note about this watch is that it keeps very good time. It gains 1 or 2 seconds a day, which is well within COSC. But I'm going to have to assume that I've been very lucky, because Hamilton make no claims that this is a chronometer. At first glance, the Jazzmaster looks quite plain and understated, but if we look closer, it becomes clear that its design is actually quite elaborate. Look at the case, for example, and the way that the lugs have been given these shoulders machined out of the metal. The polishing here is of excellent quality, and the lugs are really nicely brushed on the sides and on the top. But if we look closer, we have this highly polished beveled edge too. On the crown side, we see this added piece which acts as a crown guard. It's been integrated into the case and is attached underneath by 2 of the 5 screws that hold on the display case back. So as we can see, a lot of work has gone into making this case. Moving on to the dial, if we look closely, we see there's quite a lot going on here too. Around the edge we have this slightly sunken minute track, and in the centre we have an embossed waffle pattern with a raised strip at the 12 o'clock position displaying the Hamilton name. This dial has highly polished applied indices that sit on a wide ring between the minute track and the pattern centre. The overall design of the dial is quite elegant, and the font of the numerals, spear tip indices, Dauphine hands and asymmetrical date window combine to give it a vintage Art Deco feel. I should also add that this dial is very legible and easy to read at a glance. The high quality fit and finish and the amount of detail offered here are not what one would typically expect to see on a £500 watch. Hamilton also throw in a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating too. The movement that drives this watch is the Hamilton H10, which is a modified ETA 2824-2. It's hacking and hand winding, of course, but it also has an amazing 80-hour power reserve. This has been achieved by changing the mainspring and reducing the beat rate from 28,800 to 21,600 beats per hour. The obvious penalty of doing that is that the sweep of the second hand isn't quite as smooth as it would have been at the original higher beat rate. However, it doesn't look too jerky. Well, not on my watch anyway. Looking through the display case back, the movement isn't really decorated. There's no Geneva striping or pelage work here, just a couple of blued screws and a nice skeletonized Hamilton rotor, but you wouldn't really expect to see much decoration at this price point. Okay, so let's get it on the wrist then. This watch is comfortable. It only weighs a couple of ounces and it wears well and lies flat on the wrist. The lugs curve down nicely and allow the strap to accommodate any angle, so this watch should sit well both on small and large wrists alike. And with the thickness of 11mm, it slides under the cuff quite easily. So it's clear that this watch has much to offer, especially at its price point, but there are a few disappointments. Firstly, the loom is not very impressive at all. It's not even as good as the loom on my £50 Pulsar quartz. Secondly, the water resistance rating is only 50 metres. so you certainly wouldn't want to go swimming in this watch. Personally, if a watch has a water resistance rating of less than 100 meters, I try to avoid contact with water altogether when wearing it. Lastly, the strap it comes with really isn't very good at all. It's stiff and hard and uncomfortable. But then I guess they had to try and save money somewhere, and straps are easy enough to change. I've put mine on a plain black Italian leather strap from Collareb. It's really soft and supple, and it also looks great. Anyway, that pretty much concludes my review of this watch. I've enjoyed my time with the Hammy. It's a classy, elegant piece, and I'd be proud to wear it anywhere. It will definitely be getting a fair share of wrist time from now on. If you've enjoyed this video and found it informative, or you're thinking about buying a Jazzmaster and it's helped you to make your decision, then please click the like button and maybe even leave me a comment. So until next time then, it's goodbye from me.